Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about the Garibay Natural 20s of 2017, the best tabletop role-playing game products out there. This is part 2, and I'm going to start with number 6 on the list, and that is Star Trek Adventures by Modiphius Games. Modiphius is a beast. They have been knocking it out of the park lately. They're a British company. They're a European company, I should say. And I'm actually not a fan of European games by and large. There's some distinct exceptions. I'm a really big fan of the Warhammer 40,000 world, and by extension, all the Warhammer 40,000 tabletop role-playing games. That world is one of the most compelling worlds out there. My point is, I really like my tabletop role-playing games have an American sentiment and come from an American perspective. And the Modiphius games don't. And the reason I recognize this game is they just make an incredibly good tabletop role-playing game when they're doing their work. Tremendously good. Some of the stuff they've been working on lately are Mutant Year Zero, and was really, really awesome. The Conan tabletop role-playing game. None of these are on the list. This is just me recognizing Modiphius as an absolute beast coming out of the gate on tabletop role-playing game creation. The other thing that I like is they don't mess around making a bunch of source books. They put a lot of energy into creating new core rule books. And so I really love Modiphius, and their number 6 game that is on the list is Star Trek Adventures. Star Trek Adventures, huge thumbs up to Modiphius for getting that license. I think licensed properties are incredibly difficult nowadays. I think they've always been difficult. And so I have a ton of respect for the companies that are going out there and doing it right and getting this done and still getting those properties. And it's hard to have a property like Star Trek in tabletop role-playing games. Star Trek is more than $1 billion intellectual property. There are billions of dollars that have been connected to Star Trek since 1967, I believe. And that's big. That is really, really big. And so for them to be doing it the way they're doing it now, Star Trek, I actually don't think it was the best rule. You know what? I do think this is the best, actually. I think Modiphius' Star Trek beat Decipher's Star Trek, and it beat Fast's Star Trek. So it's certainly not the best. The rules are a little old school, in my opinion. They really didn't use some of the cooler ideas that are floating around in the tabletop role-playing game industry. It looks a lot like an 80s game from a rules perspective. The art was beautiful. I love the fact that they didn't just use pictures. They actually did art for the game. The quality level of the book was just phenomenal. This is a really, really solid game, and I was incredibly impressed. I really tons of respect for the Star Trek licensed property and advancing licensed property in tabletop role-playing games. I absolutely love licensed properties in tabletop role-playing games, and they're incredibly hard, and I think they're going to be harder every single day to do, and Modiphius is just doing a tremendous job. And also, it is another step forward toward my dream of an official licensed property for Harry Potter. That's the number one licensed property I would like to see, and it's never been made. And I think the Star Trek Modiphius game, the success of it, the solidness, the quality that was delivered by Modiphius really helps that. It helps the entire industry creating tabletop role-playing games, and it's just really phenomenal. I'm just a fantastic game. I'm a big respecter of what they accomplished. All right, so number 5 on the list, Starfinder by Pathfinder. Okay, by Paizo, excuse me. So Starfinder is the space opera edition of Pathfinder. There were some chances taken on this. I think they broke away significantly from the Pathfinder rule set. The art was absolutely incredible. Having a 500-page rule book. By the way, I got the PDF version of this, and I saw the physical book. I sat down and I kind of leafed through it a bit at a Barnes & Noble's, but I own the PDF. It was a 530-page PDF for $10. That is tremendous value. Starfinder was a delight to read through. The Solarians and the races, the ships, the cultures. There was just a lot to really enjoy in this game, and my hat's off to Paizo. I think it's awesome that they're continuing to move forward. I think they're struggling now with 5th edition out the way it is. I'm really curious where they're going to land. The other thing is, they did a fantastic job on Starfinder. I really liked it. I thought it was a great job. It was one of my most enjoyable reads this year by far. So number 4 on the list, Tales of Equestria, right? Tales of Equestria, the My Little Pony tabletop role-playing game. I am reviewing, and so the product that I think was best was not the box set. It was actually the traditional hardback printed version, which was the exact same size and almost pretty much the same count as a player's handbook, as a 5e player handbook, which is beautiful. I'm really glad they made it. That thing was colorful. It was fun. There was a section on it that talked about rules mechanics of not having hands but having hooves instead. If you like My Little Pony, this was a great book. If you don't like My Little Pony, this is an important book for our industry, and the reason why is there are Jostins. There are people who would like a Jane Austen novel either now or when they grow up. And for Jostins, this is a really important book to exist. It's really important that that there are games that aren't like super combat related and can really bring in Jostins to our hobby. And that game does it. And it was extremely well executed. It was really, really good. By the way, that was by Ninja Division Publishing. And again, I'm just blown away by these guys who are, by these companies who are getting these licensed properties, these big licensed properties, and being able to make tabletop role-playing games with them. It's truly incredible feat. All right, that was number 4. And number 3 on my list is Fantasy Flight Games Genesis. This is the bomb diggity because of the narrative dice. This is bringing the Star Wars narrative dice. You can play a universal role-playing game system. It's all I need to say, it's just FFG. Fantasy Flight Games makes games like nobody else. They're just so gorgeous in layout, so gorgeous in art, really solid attention given to rules. Using these narrative dice on the table, I played a Star Trek TNG game this year with the Genesis narrative dice. I ran it one shot. My friends loved it. We had the best time, and every dude in my player group, right, who is a game master as well as a player, every single one's got a list 5+ long on the games they want to play with, the games they want to run with Genesis. It just, if you're a game master, this thing grabs you by the throat and says, play me, like run me. It's incredible. It's really, really good. Number 2 on Garibay Natural 20 list, Index Card RPG by Runehammer Games. It is fantastic. The most beautiful redux of Dungeons & Dragons I've ever seen done. Truly, truly tremendous, beautiful, wonderful game. Really, really like it. And if you haven't played it, it's like $20 for the PDF. An absolute must buy. It's really fantastic. Played a lot of that this year. Played a DC Marvels mixed game using that. It's really tremendous. It's absolutely worth every penny. It has a really unique art style. It did a lot with a little, and it's just really wonderful. Number 1 tabletop role-playing game product of the year, number 1 Garibay Natural 20 of the year, is Blades in the Dark by Evil Hat Games. Big thank you to Fred Hicks for bringing the creator, who is 1-7. He's with 1-7. 1-7 is John Harper's studio. John Harper, in my opinion, is one of the most important people in all of tabletop role-playing games right now, because he is the bridge to Kate Welch, who is the 6E, who in my opinion will be the 6E, the Dungeons & Dragons 6E lead designer. There's a direct line between Kate Welch right to John Harper, and John Harper is absolute king of the tabletop role-playing game industry. There's more respect across the board for him than anybody. He's like the Michael Jordan of indie tabletop role-playing games. Everybody in the indie, all the key players in that industry love him, except Monty Cook. I don't think there's any beef between them, but never seen a lot of connection between Monty Cook and Harper. But John Harper knows them all. He knows Fred Hicks. He knows Sage Latour. He knows Adam Cobell. He knows Luke Crane. I think he knows Emily Crane. Yeah, he's connected with, so he has access to Emily Care Boss. Anna Creeder, I think, has been in his circles at different points. He is a nexus point, and he can connect all these brilliant minds, like just connect them like a USB port right into Dungeons & Dragons 6e. So Kate Welch is the future of Dungeons & Dragons 6e. I think I'm the only person saying this right now, but I think she is the absolute lock-solid future of Dungeons & Dragons 6e. She is, just like Kendrick Lamar had to learn how to rap from Biggie and Tupac and all the rest, right? Kate has to learn what she's going to put in that game. I think she's going to learn it from John Harper. And a little bit from Mike Mearls and Chris Perkins, right? But the reality is, I'm truly excited about John Harper. And so, Blades in the Dark is a tremendous game on its own. It is absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. It is like this dark city, and it's so cool and awesome. Oh, I love it so much, right? But the reality is, when you look at Blades in the Dark, you're seeing this bright, shining future that can be 6e. Just a better, awesomer game, and I'm so excited about it. Number one, Garibay Natural 20. Number one, tabletop role-playing game product of the year, without a doubt, Blades in the Dark by John Harper. And thank you very much for listening to my list. Take care.